by Mitch Emoff. David turns away from Judaism after accidentally burning down the temple at his own bar mitzvah. Now, as an adult, immersed in life with his Catholic wife and kids, David must complete his bar mitzvah to honor his dying father's final wish and receive his inheritance.
Interior, Temple Beth El, Day. David, 13, dressed in full bar mitzvah regalia, is dwarfed next to the rotund cantor who chants blessings in rapid-fire Hebrew. He finally pauses to take a deep breath. David leans up to the microphone. Before he can speak, the cantor resumes his high-pitched barrage of sound. Super, 1982. The rabbi, tall with dots of gray in his beard, drifts over to the podium and crowds in alongside David to recite the blessing before the Torah reading. David looks like a puny slice of salami between two large hunks of rye bread. His eyes wander to the audience. In the front row, David's proud mother, 42, smiles up at him. Next to her, his oldest brother, Bruce, 15, adorning a ceremonial tallit. On the other side of him, David's red-nosed father, Max, dabs his swollen eyes with the fringed ends of his tallit.
Please rise.
The two men converge to the ark from either side of the bema and slide back to the rich walnut doors. Several Torahs of all shapes and sizes are revealed.
Today's Torah, a gift from the Clemich family, has faithfully served generations of bat mitzvahs here at Temple Beth El.
The mother puts her arm around Bruce and squeezes him tightly. Max now starts to weep even more uncontrollably. The rabbi motions for David to approach the ark. David floats past a few small Torahs and stops in front of the largest one, encased in ornate metal. He bends and picks up the monstrous Torah, backpedals, and trips over the leg of a chair. God, no! David twirls around, trying to regain his balance, causing the metal handle covers to jingle wildly. All eyes are on the prized Torah as David lurches back with all his might to stabilize. In the process, his yarmulke slides right off his head, unnoticed, onto one of the burning candles. The onlookers exhale a collective breath of relief as David fully regains control of the Torah.
Let's hear it for David's first achievement of Jewish adulthood.
The congregation cheers. Behind them and out of view, the yarmulke smolders atop the candle. Only David notices the fire and his face turns white.
Rabbi?
The rabbi motions for David to join by his side.
Over here, come.
David is entranced by the spreading fire. He points in horror.
Look!
Flames begin to dance and soon catch onto a tapestry hanging from the wall.
Holy Moses, fire!
A panic ensues and sends everyone scrambling towards the nearest exits. Stunned and motionless with the Torah still in his grasp, David is quickly ushered to safety by the rabbi. Exterior, Temple Beth El parking lot, later. The fire chief, with a soot-laden face, approaches the rabbis as firemen in the background desperately try to contain the flames.
How bad? The damage?
We'll be lucky to save it.
Oh, I'm so sorry it has to end like this.
Max surveys the grounds.
Wait, the flat area over there could be a makeshift bima.
David's mother looks on in horror. Max, are you crazy? It's over. Overhearing from a bench behind them, David buries his face in his hands. Max fumbles for a cigarette and approaches David. He places his hand gently on his shoulder.
I ruined the day.
Max cups his hands and lights up.
The day will end soon. Just don't let it ruin your life.
Suddenly, a magnificent whale-like noise belches from the temple. Firemen yell and zigzag out of the way as the front wall of the sanctuary collapses inward. Interior, hospital, night. David pokes his head into a hospital room. Max lies in the bed, tubes everywhere. His eyelids are half closed.
Dad?
David, my little David,
I'm approaching 50, Dad.
you'll always be 13 to me.
David glides over to the side of the bed.
That's a year we could all do without.
I was so proud of you that day, the way you stood up there like a man.
Some men. Even Moses knew to keep the burning bush outdoors.
They just had other plans. But the 10,000 or so days since, those you could control.
I don't follow.
Max motions David to draw closer. He reaches into an old velvet bag stacked neatly on the nightstand and pulls out an ornate yarmulke.
This is the yarmulke I wore at my bat mitzvah 60 years ago.
David examines it carefully, thoughtfully.
I'll put it into one of those glass encased frames. It will look great in our den.
Wear it. Wear it at your own bar mitzvah.
Dad, for the 10,000th time, I can't.
David, I love you, and you're right. Your mother and I, God rest her soul, babied you too much.
Okay. First of all, Mom is still alive.
Only in the way that little girl in Exorcist was still alive.
And second, I've moved on since the fire, and so should you.
An older nurse comes into the room and cruises to the head of the bed. She presses a few buttons. Mr. Klumschutz needs to rest. I'll have to ask you to wrap up.
Hey, where's my Bloody Mary that was advertised?
This is Blood of Mary Hospital.
Sheesh! Many Stromberg left with entire bottle of Manischewitz from the Jewish hospital.
The nurse smirks and checks the IV drip.
Dad, focus.
Okay, here it is. I demand you go back for your bar mitzvah.
The nurse stops in her tracks, hanging around to hear how the conversation plays out.
I'm an adult. You can't demand.
Max, tired and in pain, manages a little smile and reaches over to grab David's hand.
Then promise me you'll go back on your own.
Exhausted, Max closes his eyes. David still holds onto his hand, staring hard at his father with a mix of love and anger.
I couldn't possibly. Dad? Dad?
Max backs asleep, snores loudly. The nurse turns off the light, leaving David to ponder in the shadows. Interior, David's bedroom, moments later. David opens the door to his room slowly. Kristen is wide awake with an empty carton of ice cream, save the spoon, resting on her pregnant tummy.
Thought you might be asleep.
Gandhi is kicking nonstop.
A rebel, like his eldest sister.
Yeah, and if you want to get tough with her, you won't get any respect. How's your dad?
Yeah, he made the bar mitzvah plea again.
Kristen rises abruptly to her feet. The ice cream carton and spoon go flying.
The way your parents hold religion against you, it annoys the hell out of me.
All Dad this time.
Kristen crosses her arms.
Just wait, divorce or not, evil forces will join together and get you to brainwash their little David.
Relax. What matters is our little family. And I'm fine with our choices.
Kristen uncrosses her arms.
So you are going to look into Catholic conversion classes again?
David gulps. Interior, David's kitchen, moments later. A rustling noise comes from the basement. Sydney, his daughter, emerges with Levi, her boyfriend, his hair mussed and his shirt on backwards. David looks up as they approach him apprehensively.
Levi, I have an important question and I need an honest answer.
Yes?
How much did you get?
Well, we were only down there for 5 minutes.
Your bar mitzvah?
Oh, I got $6,000 and got this watch.
Were you nervous?
Well, I was at first. I mean, these metalings hurt like crazy. Finally pulled out all my wrist hair off though.
No. I meant...
The back door knob jingles. Kristen walks in carrying 2 large cans of paint. David rushes over to help her.
Why are you home?
Sydney gestures to Levi that his shirt is backwards, and they quickly scramble out of the room.
Didn't you notice something a little off about Levi?
Yeah, he said the hair just got plucked away over time.
Kristen rubs her head. Instant migraine.
I have some bad news. But also some good news. Or, well, neutral leaning to potentially good news.
Hey David, I'm scared, so what is it?
I got fired today.
Kristen drops the paint cans from about 6 inches above the counter. Thud.
What about the baby?
Well, I don't think the baby is ready to work. Maybe an unpaid internship? Or...
Okay, not amused. How the hell are you going to pay for your office to be converted?
That brings me to the good news. I'll have time to paint the baby's room and finally to do some of these home repairs.
Kristen grabs a thick stack of bills and weighs them in David's face.
This stack isn't getting any smaller, so you need a job now.
David gestures to the classified ad spread out on the kitchen table.
I'm already on it.
I heard there's an opening for a business manager at Holy Passage.
That would pay half of what I make now.
Made.
David realizes Kristen is serious and scoffs.
I'm overqualified, not to mention a little under-Christified.
Kristen shoots an admonishing look and then softens.
Just call Father Fred at Holy Passage. I could fill your spiritual void too.
David dutifully carries paint cans towards his study, but his mind is elsewhere. Exterior, Holy Passage parking lot. Moments later, David approaches the car, scrolling through the messages on his phone.
There! That wasn't so bad.
David looks up from his phone as white as a sheet.
It's Dad.
Exterior, Bruce's house, day. A scorching hot day. Standing on the porch is David in a dark suit with Kristen and the girls in dresses. There is a pitcher of water on a ledge. David looks around for cups, but only sees a towel.
I'm parched.
After looking side to side, he grabs both sides of the pitcher and chugs. Satisfied, he sets the pitcher down. The door finally opens and his brother Bruce stands before them. A somber expression fills his face as he gestures to the pitcher.
Jewish cleansing ritual.
All eyes are on David.
I'm cleansing on the inside.
Interior, Bruce's study, later. David and Bruce sit on the other side of the desk from typical slick attorney, Jeff Slayton, 57.
Sorry to break you away. Max had a few special requests. First, he wants your mother to have a baggie of his ashes.
David and Bruce look at each other for a clue. The attorney notices their quizzical expressions.
To remind her he can't roll over in his grave.
David nods. He gets that.
And now, to my sons, I love you both dearly and equally. I leave you each a half of my $2.4 million estate. Bruce will receive 1.2 in cash immediately. David will also receive 1.2 in cash.
David looks to the heavens.
Upon completion of his bar mitzvah,
David looks back down at the attorney pensively.
within 60 days.
David's jaw drops.
If David fails to complete his bar mitzvah in 60 days, his inheritance will be donated in its entirety to Temple Bethel.
How am I possibly going to pull this off with Kristen breathing down my neck to get a job?
Well, tell her 1.2 million is at stake.
David stands up, red-faced.
Kristen can never know about this.
Well, you better find a job with lots of coffee breaks.
David drifts toward the window, simmering, hands on hips. He scans the horizon, thoughts as far away as the eye can see.